Hello everybody, this is Kyrix with another This Week in Kyrix. This is for the week of Wednesday, September 12th of 2018. This is being done Friday morning on the 14th. That's why the hesitation was a thing. Hi, Winky. Okay, so a lot of stuff happened this week, and I'm going to talk movie spoilers in a bit. For several movies, actually, but we'll get into that a little later. For now, let's talk Pokemon. The Pokemon count is now up to 5 for those little after-tournament Pokemon choices that I've been instituting. The current selection is Electros, Haxorus, Goodra, Aurorus, and Tyranitar. And of course, this week we've got a little cup-style match where we will be choosing yet another one. This one was a weird tournament, and only 2 of us showed up. And the girl who set up this tournament was not here to reap what she sowed. It was a colossal pain in the ass. This tournament was using whatever Pokemon you beat the Elite Four with, or if you have not beaten the Elite Four, whatever Pokemon you cleared the most recent trial with. The problem with this is, A, it only says the types of Pokemon you used on that first beat. Hi, Princess, here, get down. So, you might not necessarily have the exact individuals if you're someone like me who has, like, 5 different Primarinas. Primarina was on my team. I don't know which Primarina it was, so I just used my combat-ready one, so it wasn't even the exact team. Then there's the fact that I played Ultra Sun. My team had Naganadel on it, so by default, anyone not playing Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon can't face my team unless I switch something out, which, yeah, I told her it's not going to work. It's going to be a mess, but... Anyway, I ended up winning this one. It was close, though. It was really goddamn close. Because I don't know if the person I played against used his actual team or just, used shit. Because there were 2 Manaphy's on it, so who can say? Because he didn't have one, but I didn't care because I needed someone to win the tournament. Otherwise, we'd have had to roll it over next week, and that would have been an even bigger pain in the ass. But we had a kid. We had a kid who was playing, and I have no trouble with kid players. They're fine, but there's one problem that a lot of kid players have, and I really do try my best to break them of this as quickly as possible, is that they are so cocky, and pointlessly so. Like, the slightest bit of success, and they act like they're king of the goddamn world. I mean, by all means, be proud of your ability, but have an ability to be proud of first, kid. That's really all I ask of you, If you're going to be proud, be good first, then be proud of being good. And that's not what happened here. I don't recall the specifics, but the kid was running his mouth, like you do, bragging a lot, like how he had a good team, etc. I'm like, hey, you should battle me, etc., etc. And he, I finally talked him into it, and I told him, hey, since you're so confident, how about you fight my Unova team, the team that's only ever lost 1 battle? Because to this day, only 1 person's ever beaten the Unova team. They're not unbeatable, it's just no one has, except for that first person. You know what I mean? So, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to beat your Unova team, etc. So he connects and he shows off his team, and he's got like 4, maybe 5 legendaries and Ultra Beasts and shit like that. Just, the kind of shit that newbie players use and think that they've got an auto win kind of thing. He's like, are you scared? I'm like, why? You've got 5 legendaries, you can't be that good, And he's getting real cocky because he thinks I'm putting on some kind of front, like, oh, he's pretending not to be scared, but he's shaking, I can tell, I guess that's the kind of mindset he thought I had. And he made the first rookie mistake, the mistake that took me forever to break one of the girls thereof. Not necessarily this part. He accidentally put 5 of his team into the selector instead of all 6. So he was a Pokemon short, and I let him restart. That's not the part. Everyone's done that at least once. We've all done it. You know, if you've played Pokemon for any significant length of time, you've fucking done it. But that's not the problem. The problem was, my first Pokemon out was Garbodor. And his first Pokemon out was Charizard. Now, having seen that, I switched, because I'm thinking, okay, he's a kid. He doesn't know what strategy is yet. He's going to send out Charizard again. And he did. Unfortunately for him, I did not send out Garbodor a second time. I sent out Gigalith. For those who don't know about Pokemon, Gigalith is basically built to kill Charizard, because Gigalith is a rock type. Rock is strong against flying, which Charizard is, and fire, which Charizard is. Meaning if he did not kill me in one go, I would kill him in one go, and that's exactly what happened. So he sends out Kyogre. Not even Primal Kyogre, which I gotta say I'm a little insulted by. But he sent out Kyogre. And then he, as you would expect, one-shotted Gigalith. And he's acting all tough. Like, yeah, see that? I'm like, you seem to think that Gigalith was a big part of my strategy. Gigalith's job is to get out here, do one thing, and then die. Now, what I didn't tell him is that one thing was to lay down Stealth Rocks, but honestly, I will take killing Charizard in one hit over putting out Stealth Rocks. So I put out probably my superior. I could actually watch the video if I really cared. But it swept through quite a bit of his team, and then I brought out Volcarona, and it was just game from there. I got a couple Quiver Dances in to pump my stats up. Matter of fact, I think I got all 6 of them in, and just vaporized the poor kid. And I mean, it became very apparent to him, much to his distress, that he was in so far over his head that he had picked a fight that he had no business being in. And it pretty quickly put him in his place. You know? And I've got nothing against players who aren't super competitive. But if you're gonna brag, know your shit, you know? Don't make rookie mistakes, because that just makes you look like a fucking asshole. Because it honestly fits in kind of the same way as gatekeeping, where if you talk about how awesome you are, you're gonna get called on it. This is a competitive game where you battle strong opponents. And if you tell me you are a strong opponent, I'm going to come at you as if you were a strong opponent, whether I think you are or not. And that's what I did. And as it turned out, the kid was not a strong opponent, and he got his ass handed to him. Because whether or not I believe you, if you tell me you're good, I will take you at your word and treat you like you're the biggest threat in the room. Until you prove otherwise. And one of the harsh lessons this kid learned, 2 of the harsh lessons are, number 1, legendaries do not a victory make, because I was using none and I completely curb stomped the poor kid. And 2, just because you lose a Pokemon doesn't mean you've lost the battle, and sometimes you do it on purpose. That's the one that kind of hurt him, because that's the kind of player I am sometimes, where I will purposely throw out a Pokemon to get a better victory later, you know? And I do it in other games, too. Like, the Yu Yu Hakusho card game, there was a technique that my friend and I both used that we called fortifying, which was... Let me put it this way. One of the Yu Yu Hakusho game could have anywhere from 3 to 5 rounds to it, depending on how each player performs. which means by default the third round is the most important round because it is the round that will make or break you. You know, it is, if your opponent has been stomping you in the first 2 rounds, the third round could be their victory, or it could be the round where you start turning things around. No pun intended. And what I would do is I would, a lot of times, I would give up the first and sometimes the second rounds to build up my third round character and let them carry the day for me, you know. So a lot of times when you fight me, you would see that my biggest, heaviest guy was in the third round. And then, of course, the fourth and fifth round were even heavier. Whereas the first round character is just going to be some little chump that might have a gimmick and might not, you know? Like, I had... when I built my Sensui deck, I'm trying to remember how this worked, I had a kid called Amanuma, and he got these game machines into play. And pretty much the whole point of playing him was to get the game machines in, and then sacrifice him. He would die, quite literally, like he did in the show. Spoilers! And he would, while that would lose me points, it would also build up for later, you know? You know, it would, in the long run, it would strengthen me, basically, is what I'm saying here. So that was the thing that I would do. And that's basically what I did in the Pokemon game. And I'm actually kind of proud of the kid that faced me in the tournament, such as it was, because nobody but Hush really showed up. Because he actually took on that kid and beat him rather soundly, which, granted, I know the kid's got potential. I know that if he puts a little work in, he could be an incredible battler. And me and everyone else have put months of effort into trying to break his trade addiction. Where he just says, he just wants to trade all the time. Just give me trade, give me trade, give me trade. Not even for good stuff, he just wants to trade. And there's nothing wrong necessarily with just trading, but he's trading crap, or he's trading good stuff for stuff that's crap, or stuff that's not that big a deal. Like he traded, I want to say it was Diancie, which is one of the mythicals. He traded her away for a shiny Rayquaza, which you can fucking grind that thing out if you really wanted one. So that's kind of a bad thing. And yeah, the problem with that is that you can get Rayquaza easy enough. I mean, he's in several games. You can get the shiny if you're willing to reset constantly over it to get the right flavor, as it were. But the kicker is, Diancie's only been released in America once. And the way Japan does its distributions, it could be years before we get another one. You know? And believe me, when we get another one, I'm going to be grinding those fuckers out. I'm going to have dozens of them the next time we get an event like that. But, yeah, he's done dumb shit like that. And one of the problems is, he gets all of his Pokemon that he uses in trades when what he really needs to do is learn how to breed and train and just make his own teams and learn what works for him and what he likes and what he's good with. What Pokemon do it for his team, you know. He needs to get that shit down, and when he does, he could be one of our top players, given enough time and practice. And he kind of proved that Tuesday by stepping up and whooping some ass. Now, Wednesday was a fun day for me, because I got to go fishing finally. Long-time viewers, which is none of you, because nobody watches these updates. These are basically for me to ramble. But long-time viewers, we'll pretend you exist, will know that I went fishing, I think 2 months ago. To the day, actually, when I went fishing. I went with my friend, and I had to use his wife's pole, and he's got one of those spool things, you know? I forget what it's called, but it's like where it's got the the spool and it twist. I think they called it an egg beater, but I don't know. You know what I mean? The average pole that almost everyone uses. I don't. My damn soda. It's all over the place now. Well, I never grew up on that pole. God, I sound like a stripper. I grew up on this kind of pole. Daddy taught me how to twirl and shake my butt. No, not that kind of pole. But, that's a fun headcanon. Yeah, my daddy taught me how to dance on a stripper pole. Which, hey, if your daddy knows how to dance on a stripper pole, more power to y'all. I don't give a shit. As I understand, pole dancing is actually phenomenal exercise. But yeah, the start of this month, I got my check. I did various things. And me and my friend went, I basically told him, before we go fishing, long before, preferably on the 3rd, I want to see if you can come and pick me up and take me to Walmart. The plan had been, to go that night or something that I got paid and just go to Walmart and pick out a pole, because he knows about poles and I do not. My knowledge of poles is I want a certain type of reel, and I want my pole and reel to be in green if at all possible, and that's pretty much where my input stopped. Oh, great, high CPU usage. Wonderful, don't give a shit. So we actually found me a green pole. I actually had to use the second one we found, because the first one I went to price check it because they were all mixed up, so I couldn't tell which ones were in which price range. So I took it to a fucking barcode scanner, and my inability to follow simple directions means that took 2 minutes longer than it needed to, because I walked right past it 3 fucking times. Because I'm very observant. But, yeah, I did that. And there was no fucking barcode, so I had to go and grab the other green pole to check it. And it was like $7 or something. It was a lot cheaper than I was expecting. I came in there expecting a $20 pole. Now, when I say pole, I mean pole, as in just the pole. We saw a couple poles with reels, as in the full rod-on section. You know what I mean? The full kit, as we call it. I don't know if it's called that. I'm calling it that. But yeah, the full kit. I didn't like it. I had my choice between red and blue, and I almost went for the red one. It was nice metallic red. I do like red. I prefer green, but hey, red works in a pinch. No, you get red when you pinch, but that's just a dumb joke. We're gonna pretend I didn't do that. But yeah, red's okay. But he wanted to get me the green pole, and the fucked up thing is, we went to my Walmart, and we searched around. I actually almost got the pole that I did want online, but I opted not to because I think it was a kid's pole, and thus, I didn't want it to break under the strain, I'm not particularly embarrassed to use a child's fishing pole. It's more so the case that I didn't know if it could handle the kind of fishing we would be doing, which I make it sound like we were trawling for sharks or some shit like that, which is not true. But I mean, I don't know how sturdy it would be in reality. So I didn't do that. Plus, I didn't know I might have gotten a pole that was like a foot shorter than it needed to be, or some other stupid miscellaneous fishing thing that I don't understand, being barely a fishing person. But we went to my Walmart, and then we ended up going to his, thinking we'd find something else. I don't remember what it was. It might have been, say, the pole. No, I think it was, he was looking for a specific type of pole that was like his. And then his didn't fucking have it either, so we could have just stayed at mine. But, yeah, we got my rod and reel, or my pole and reel, rather. I guess it would be rod and reel. We got those, and that cost me about $15, and I'm thinking, score! I came here looking to spend $20, and I just saved $5. Yay me. Then he makes me buy line, because he doesn't like the line that it comes with. He wants me to get a certain kind of braided green line. And that put me up to 24. So I came in there expecting to spend 20, looked like I was going to spend 15, and then left spending 5 more than that. Or than my maximum. But fuck it. It's a one-time purchase unless I royally fuck it up, which I have not. So I went with it. You know, I mean, it's not a huge ordeal. It's not going to break the bank, allegedly. But yeah, the gist of it is I got it set up, and I think it's called a spin cast, the kind I use. And I described it to him as his pole being manual transmission, whereas mine was an automatic. And he's like, I don't get it. I have no idea how those work. I don't know how you can work on that piece of shit. Which he denies he said that, but he fucking said it. I mean, I don't necessarily take offense on it, but he had me basically paranoid, like, maybe I don't remember how to fish properly. Maybe I'm not as good as I think. Maybe I just wasted this $30 or $20. You know what I mean? And I'm going to regret it, and I'm going to have to take it back, and all this shit. And no. Turns out, when I got the pole, and we got to Allen's Creek, where we went fishing, more on that in a minute, it took me basically an hour to figure out the ins and outs of that pole. Mostly because I have not really been fishing in about 20 years. You know, these last 2 trips aside. And I haven't used the pole style that I was raised on since then. So I'm sitting here with half-remembered lessons, at best. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here like, I think this is how this works. And it turns out I was kind of missing steps, as it were. The main step being that I didn't realize... I thought what you had to do was you had to push the button, or you had to zing it back, and then whip it forward and push the button, kind of thing. I thought that's how that worked. And no, turns out you push the button, you hold the button, you bring it behind you, you whip it forward, and as you do so, you let go of the button. So once I got that settled, things went much smoother and with a great deal more success. And that only took me, like I said, about an hour to trial and error that out. And again, remember, I didn't look up instructions on how this worked, because I thought I remembered how it worked. My friend didn't tell me because he didn't fucking know, so I was literally patching through this thing trying to figure out what was what. So don't give me too much crap about it, please. Alright, I hear those fucking axe murderers, so give me a second here. Shit. Did not mean. Perfect. Okay. So anyway, we're fishing for a while. We're doing moderately good. He pulls up the first 3 fish, so it's a complete reversal of last time we went. And it literally was. I ended up catching 1 to his 3. But we had some fun. We did a decent amount of fishing out of it. Had really good bait, actually. I don't mean like the bait was superior. I mean I got a good price on it for what we had. And of course, just like last time, we didn't do shit with it. I mean, we didn't use a fraction of what I brought. So, rather than take it home, I opted to basically... oh, hi, Mr. Zambi. I opted to do what we did the first time, which is basically throw it to the fish that were in the wild. Now, the last time we went, we were at Clearwater Beach, and we were on... not a pier, but let's call it a... slope? Basically, we were on concrete above the water, kind of thing. Like we were on the curb. And, okay, I know where I am now. That's cool. So yeah, we did that, and what am I looking for here? I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for. But, so we just threw it in the water and thought nothing of it. This time we had minnows in the water. Lots of little itty-bitty minnows. And they were adorable. And every time we had partial bait that we didn't want to have, we just, took it off the hook and dropped it for the minnows. And myself, several times, just threw them whole shrimp. I actually have a little 30-second video of me putting a shrimp on a hook and just dangling it in the water where they could just beat the shit out of it. And a lot of times I just fed the minnows and watched them eat because it was fun. I mean, come on, it literally had to have been one of the best days in their fucking lives, because here's this food, this really good food, and it's not alive, so it's not fighting them. It's prey. It's pre-killed prey, but there's no predator to fight for it. It's just nip in and get what you want, And at first they had to fight over it, but as time went on, there was just so much of it that they just nom 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 nom. They just tore into that shit. And then, of course, when we left, we're sitting there with, God, it must have been 30 shrimp easy. Hell, shit, could have been as much as 50 for all I know. But just literally multiple handfuls of shrimp. And we're all just tossing it in the shallows. I mean, my friend tossed some of it in the middle of the water so some of the bigger fish could get it. But I basically said, fuck it, these minnows have been keeping me company all day. I'm gonna feed them. And also, as a fun little side note, my friend is a big fan of country music. And I grew up in a very country music family. So I know quite a few country songs. Like, they were not just at family gatherings, of which there were many country songs at family gatherings. And not just, say, going to Mugs and Jugs and hearing country music, because my family loved to karaoke, and they all did country songs, and so did a lot of other people at Mugs. But, oh, that's Twitch. Who's on Twitch right now? Oh, Stream 4-star. Also, that's bad. But yeah, I grew up with a fuckload of country music in my childhood. And the country music of today is not the country music I grew up with. I have bitched about that a lot. Like, I grew up hating country music because I just did. And I'm not exactly a huge fan of it now, but I despised it as a child. And the crap we have today has made me appreciate what we had when I was younger. And there are a lot of old country songs that I genuinely, legitimately like and listen to. Like, one is called Bop by Dan Seals. Another one by Restless Heart is Why Does It Have to Be Black or White? Or maybe it was Wrong or Right. Either way, it was Why Does It Have to Be? A couple other songs like that. And, hell, there's even a couple modernish songs that I like just because they're perky and goofy. Like, Lone Star did a song called Mr. Mom. It's not exactly musical art, but it's a fun little story, and the video's amusing. But anyway, he listens to a lot of country music, and some of it's stuff that I can tolerate, as he pointed out when I said this. But a lot of it's shit that I can't stand also, or shit that I tolerate but don't like. So what I did is I found 19 country songs and put them in a playlist and put them on my MP3 player, and we listened to that on loop the whole time we were fishing. So that was fun. That was my little contribution to the trip, which most of the contributions were mine. Like, I made the sandwiches, I bought the bait, I provided the music, that kind of shit. I didn't do everything, of course. He did quite a bit. Like, he drove us there. He set up the gear. We actually had to trim several feet of line off mine because he overstuffed it. And it was cataclysmic. It wouldn't reel in properly. But yeah, he, like I said, provided the transportation, set up the gear, had the coolers that we kept the food and such in. Now, remember how I said I'd get to what we did with Allen's Creek? When we arrived, when we went, period, I feel I should say that Florida has been suffering a red tide epidemic. Like part of the reason we went to Allen's Creek is that it was less likely to have been affected by red tide. And we got there, and we got out of the car, and my friend's like, oh no. I'm like, what? It's like, you smell that? I'm like, yeah, it smells like something rotting. And I was like, yeah, that's not a good sign. Thinking it was red tide. No, false alarm. The deli we were next to fucking put a bucket, and that probably honestly 3 buckets worth, but there was a bucket there, a pile of dead, rotting jumbo shrimp sitting in the Florida sun, covered in flies. Swear to God, it took my friend 10 minutes to stop gagging long enough to get over to the fishing spot. I, of course, have a damaged sense of smell. I got over it in like 2 minutes. You know? But it was a good day. The only real bad part about it is... Oh, shit, I gotta return those. I had picked up some rubber gloves, because last time I just got my hands covered in bait, and I wanted to eat sandwiches, but I also didn't want to, have dead squid and dead shrimp all over my hands when I did it. So I got the bright idea, hey, I'll go to Walgreens and buy some rubber gloves. And I did. And I did the little palm measuring thing and probably did it improperly and bought gloves that were too small. And basically tore 2 of them. I'm going to see if I can get a return on those, get my money back. With luck, I will. With no luck... Well, with no luck, I'm stuck with a box of fucking 48 or 38 rubber gloves that I can't fit on my goddamn Yeti hands. You do with what you can. But aside from that, it was an eventful day. Oh yeah, the other shitty thing. Scraped my middle fingernail with a hook. Not the fingernail, but the flesh right next to it. And that bitch was just gushing blood. Not in a bad way, but I mean I know I didn't hurt myself, but I bled a lot. And it stings. And it stings a lot. So that sucks. Okay, Star Trek Tournament. Star Trek Tournament was kind of a wash for many reasons, but we did have it. A little bit. Why was it a wash, Kyrix? Well, let's get into why it was a wash. First off, partly because of me, we started like an hour and a half late. Because my math was off, and I wanted to switch things around, and I wanted to borrow things, and then I didn't want to borrow things, and then I realized I miscounted, and then I did need to borrow... Basically, I spent 40 minutes fucking with something that should have been done ages ago. And I made minor changes to it. And the worst part was, as I was packing up my little jewelry box that I carry all my gaming shit in, I'm thinking to myself, since I'm bringing this, I could actually bring all of my independent faction cards with me, so that if I need to change something, I can. I opted not to. Which would have neatly solved the problem if I'd fucking brought it. Whole thing would have taken me 10 goddamn minutes and we'd have been done. Now, it wasn't all me, and I actually partly did this to deflect a lot of blame to myself, because we had a new guy, and he had just bought a bunch of shit in bulk from a collector, or not a collector, but bought someone's collection in bulk, and didn't really have his shit sorted and didn't know much how to play, so a lot of the time was spent building up his team as well. And I had Deep Space Nine, so that was fun. But he and I faced off in the first round, as it turns out, really the only round, but I'll get into that in a minute. And he saw Deep Space Nine and was like, well, enjoy your victory. I'm like, don't be too sure. There's a lot of flaws to this. Plus, we had a scenario that was kind of weird. As it was, depending on how you measure this, I either got my ass whooped or absolutely rocked that game. I know those seem a little mutually exclusive. How can that be, Kyrix? Well, here's how that can be. Because in the setup, you could basically use your ship's action. Well, interesting. You could use your ship's action. Hey, they stole my fucking pyramid then. Well, to an extent. But you could use your ship's action to give a special scan on this planet that would get you a mission token. And for every mission token at the end of the game, you would gain 10 points. Well, I was running not necessarily Ferengi ships, but Ferengi captains, which meant I had a lot of Latinum to play with, and Latinum equals action economy. So basically, I got to use my ship's actions exclusively on scanning, and use Latinum to take the action I normally would have taken, like, oh, I'm going to scan, and then I'm going to use this Latinum to give me a battle stations token. So, add that to the fact that Deep Space Nine didn't have to worry in the same way about the scenario, because the scenarios thing was that your movement would be affected. You either go faster or slower. Well, Deep Space Nine is capable of literally sitting on its ass and parking. You know, and it doesn't move very fast unless you do the trick that I had set up, which I might see if they'll let me play again. Hell, I might just play that exact same team again. It's possible. But, so, while he's sitting there circling around trying to get a bead on my ships, I'm doing the action economy thing and just racking up tokens. Just token, 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 token. And when time is called, and last round is taken, I have Deep Space Nine on the board, barely scratched. He didn't even focus on that fucker until the end of the game. And I don't even think he hit me. And if he dimmed my shields a bit. Most of the damage to the shields were done by me because I have the ability to turn off for a round some of my shields to get defense dice, and I did that. But yeah, he left Deep Space Nine alone, and I only managed to kill his shuttlecraft, although I tore chunks out of every ship in his fleet at some point. Not enough to kill anything else, but by rights, if we were just in a straight-up game, he'd have whooped my ass. Just flat. Of course, if this had been a straight-up game, I would have played completely differently, like I would have had more of my Tholian webs out, because it was ruled that if the Tholian fighter accelerates beyond a speed 1, which is what you lay the web with, you still move, but you cannot lay the web. So I only got 2 strands of web, despite doing that one straight exclusively. That's how many times it sped me up, you know. And it would have really changed the face of that game if I had my speed fucked with. But in the end, he beat me by 2 points. Because despite wiping out almost my entire fleet, Deep Space Nine was 52 points out of 130. And despite me only killing like 20 points of his team, I had racked up so many fucking mission tokens that I almost took the game. So, yeah. But as it turns out, my friend who showed up, for whatever reason, in round 2, she just wasn't feeling it. She said, fuck it, I'm going home. And I don't know if it was because she lost the first round, or because she just had a shitty week, or if it was because in between rounds I went to go get a soda, and they started the round without me being there, and she just had to wait on my ass. I don't know what it was. But, for whatever reason, the round was over, or the tournament was basically over with me having played 1 round. And so, since it was over anyway, I basically hopped the last bus home. Because I had mapped it out so that I would have had plenty of time to get on the bus, go up there, play the entire tournament, get on the last bus home, or get on the second to last bus home even. But the delays and shit made that not work. But it was still fun. I got to play Deep Space Nine. I got to play my Tholians. I'm going to see about getting up there for some casual play at some point during the week. We'll see how that aims out. But I had fun. First Star Trek I got to play in 2 months. So I'm not complaining. It was a fun game. It was a close game, too. So let's move on to the movie spoilers that I talked about at the very, very beginning. I don't know if I had this at the point Yeah, I would have had this. I've talked a little bit about AMC's A-list, where I basically get a certain number of not videos, but movies that I can just watch, right? Well, in this case, I've watched 6 movies recently. I've watched 9 total, I think. No, it has been 6, actually. Because I watched the Megan D-Box. That was my first one. I talked about what D-Box is. I went back and saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And then Thursday night, on premiere night, I saw Peppermint. And I have described Peppermint as what happens when law-abiding citizen gets the brave one pregnant and taken delivers the baby. And that's honestly a pretty fair assessment of the movie. And it's a vigilante movie, because those are all vigilante movies, and I think it's a pretty good one. The gist of it, for those of you who have not seen the trailer, I don't know if the trailer's played on TV, because I don't watch TV anymore. It's not like, oh, I don't watch TV. No, I don't fucking have cable in my room, and quite frankly, I don't have the disposable income to pay for a cable box. So I just don't have cable. I could probably watch TV out there, but there's really nothing I want to watch. You know what I mean? So I don't bother. But I don't know if you've seen it, but basically, here's the gist of it. There's this woman who works at a bank that is only of mild importance, really. She wants to go to her daughter's birthday party. Now, the movie opens up with, and I'm going to say heavy spoilers. The movie opens up with her and her daughter at this grocery store selling Girl Scout cookies. They're called something else, but they're fucking Girl Scouts, and they're selling Girl Scout cookies. We know Hollywood. Don't pull this generic ass fucking lame brain shit on us. We know what a Girl Scout is. We've all eaten the cookies. So, and you've got this real rich bitch of a woman with her snotty little child, who is horrible, following behind her like, this was our beat, etc. This is our turf, meh, meh, meh. And the woman is just completely ignoring her, as you do. Oh, good, I didn't overdid it. I almost overdid it, but I didn't. So, the woman, just, again, horrible person. She, she's bitching at her. She's raising hell because she's rich. She's just being a total evil person. Woman goes to work. She tells her husband, I'll be back by 4 at the latest. Her boss makes her stay overnight, kind of thing. Like, she gets there like 9 o'clock, kind of thing. Well, maybe not 9 o'clock. Maybe it's only 6, because it was October. Or no, it wasn't October. It was fucking December. It was like December 21st. I think it was December 21st. So it was damn near Christmas. And she gets home, and her daughter's just sitting there with her dad, just sitting there moping, and there's no one else there. Turns out, because that woman got spited at the cookie thing, she let her daughter, or made her daughter, throw a Christmas party at the exact same time of the girl's birthday, and invited all of her friends. So, are you going to go to the girl's birthday party, or are you going to go to the rich woman's Christmas party? Yeah. Horrible woman. So, to make it up to her daughter, she takes her to this carnival thing, this, state fair carnival kind of place, and promises her, we're going to go on all the rides, you're going to get ice cream, you're going to get whatever you want, etc. And a little subplot is the woman's husband was working at this auto shop, and his partner was trying to talk him into this deal where he was basically going to rob this cartel and make a mint. And right before they left for the carnival, the husband called up his friend, and it went straight to voicemail, telling him, no, I had second thoughts, I'm not going to do it, it's not worth the risk, I love my family, I'm going to do this, the legitimate way. And, of course, the cartel already had the guy, which is why it went straight to voicemail. And even though he didn't do anything, they basically ordered a hit on him. And so 3 of his goons drove up on him when they were at the what's-it, getting ice cream, heading back to the parking lot. And the mother went back to get napkins. And her husband and daughter got gunned down, and she got shot a couple times too. And I just want to point out, this is all the fault of that rich woman. If she hadn't done this shit, they'd have had the birthday party, and nothing would have went wrong. Or then again, maybe they'd have just hit him at home. Who knows? More likely what would have happened is they'd have seen too many people there and gone after him another time when he was at work or something. Because I don't think even a cartel wants to hit a room full of like 15 kids and parents. You know? I could be wrong. I'm sure there's some people out there, but if you're pragmatic, you wouldn't. Of course, then again, these are the same assholes who went brazenly in full view of a fucking carnival and gunned down 2 people. 2.5. The half being the mother, not the child, you twisted fox. I was referring to the fact that she lived. But, of course, the court doesn't do shit because, you know, payroll. And she snaps and tries to attack the accused? The suspects, let's say the suspects. So they basically sign her up to go into a mental hospital, and she escapes, robs the bank she works at, and goes into hiding for 5 years, and basically comes back to the vigilante. And honestly, movies make me hate the internet so fucking much. Because I see a movie, and I come home and I'm excited, and I just want to absorb everything about this movie. Like, I'll hop on TV Tropes and see all the shit people have wrote down that I might have missed, you know. Especially to see, maybe this justifies a second viewing, kind of thing. So I'll get on, and then I'll go on YouTube, like, oh, let's see these reviews. Maybe they'll talk about cool shit that I missed. And their thing was, oh, this is a garbage movie, it's just a vigilante movie. And I'm like, what the fuck did you think it was? I hate these half-assed internet critics. Because they've got it in their head, and I'm going to get into why in a minute, but they've got it in their head that to do your job properly, you have to shit on everything. And quite frankly, I honestly blame the nostalgia critic for this, because I've tried numerous times to watch his channel, but no matter what he reviews, I think maybe once I saw him have fun with something, but generally he shits all over everything, every aspect of every fucking thing. And don't get me wrong, I understand that the nostalgia critic is a character that he plays, that he himself is not necessarily like that. But honestly, if I ever met the guy, I don't think I would, because I hit like a girl, but I would probably want to deck him in the fucking mouth for what he did to internet critic culture. He basically set the stage of, hey, look how cool I am. I shit on movies and get lots of views. Don't you want to be like me? And I just fucking hate these people. I saw the Meg and came back and looked at those reviews like, oh, this is a dumbass shark movie. Well, what the fuck did you think it was going to be? What the fuck did you think Jaws was? Jaws was a dumbass shark movie. The only reason people rave about it is because it was the first dumbass shark movie that really hit it. You know? It's a fucking B movie. It was always a B movie. It was never intended to be anything more than a B movie. It just happened to blow up. You know? What the fuck do you people want? Not everything has to shit gold. And it legitimately fucking angers me that people can't enjoy shit. Now, fortunately, I have enough self-confidence that I don't see these negative reviews and think, oh, maybe it's me. No, I like things, and I'm fine with it. We had a guy in the Star Trek Facebook, I assume it was a guy, we had a person in the Star Trek Facebook group I'm a part of, who said, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically they said, I just ordered the Discovery Season 1 box set on Amazon. Should I cancel my order because of all these horrible reviews I'm seeing about it? My response is no. Fuck those people. You know? Fuck them. Just these people don't know how to fucking enjoy things. Now, I can't speak for the quality of Discovery, because CBS hid it behind a fucking paywall, and I don't feel like I don't have cable. Why would I buy a channel to watch Star Trek? Not even all of Star Trek, just the one. And people keep saying, oh, well, CBS is going to put all this other shit on there. Yes, but they don't have it now, and I don't want to watch any of that shit. You know? So honestly, one of these days I'll sit down and watch Discovery, and I've said numerous times, Discovery gets the same 3 seasons that every Trek gets. If you can't get your shit together in 3 seasons, I'm done with you. It's just that simple. You know? But it's just... And, of course, it's at its worst with Star Wars. And oh my god, I saw the worst Star Wars post ever the other day. Now, when Solo came out in theaters, the fans organized their little boycott. Like, we're not going to watch Solo because we hated The Last Jedi, which is really fucking stupid. But, like, basically they had a whole bunch of other Star Wars movies planned, and this negative fan backlash where they're bitching about everything, and they're boycotting everything, and I do mean everything, and just being spoiled children, made the studio go, well, I guess we're going to stop the Star Wars for a while, and the fans rejoiced. And then I started seeing, oh my god, they canceled the Obi-Wan movie, but I really wanted that one. And my response is, fuck you. I'm glad they canceled the Obi-Wan movie. I wanted to see the Obi-Wan movie. And I'm glad they canceled it. Because fuck these people. Fuck them all. Every last one of them. You assholes do not deserve Star Wars. You don't deserve the Star Wars that you want. You don't deserve nice things. You are why we cannot have nice things. And just the gall to raise so much hell and then celebrate the fact that your boycott worked. And then have the balls to bitch that, oh, they canceled Obi-Wan too? We only wanted them to get rid of this, not everything. Well, fuck you. They got rid of everything. And I have said, if you take a child to a restaurant, and that child yells and screams the entire time they're there, and they whine and they bitch, and they throw dishes, and they fucking smear shit on the walls, and they do all this horrible crap, that child doesn't get to go for ice cream after, okay? Just, no, they don't, period. They fucked up, and they have to deal with the fact that they're not getting ice cream. You raised all this hell. You fucking drag people's jobs through the fucking mud. You made all of us look like assholes. I mean, don't get me wrong, I hate SJWs too, but Star Wars has always had a shitty fandom. But you don't get your ice cream. You raise this hell, you bitch about every Star Wars that's ever been made. You don't get to fucking have the one movie you want. And I've said, and I mean this, I have said that let's see, there's snow blocks in here somewhere. That I sincerely, not even fucking with anyone, sincerely hope that Disney, for the next 20 years, makes nothing but movies the same quality or worse of The Last Jedi. For the next 20 years. I mean that sincerely. Not ironically, not fucking with you. I mean that. I will fucking sign paperwork saying that I mean that. Why? Because eventually the movie casuals will get so fed up that they will go and they will not return. They will finally, for realsies this time, just give up on Star Wars entirely, and then we can go back to not hearing them bitch all the time. And if you're wondering why I can handle 20 years of shitty Star Wars movies, it's because the movies don't matter. You know? I had a guy in one of the comments, and I absolutely raised hell with him over this, who basically is just so shitty and close-minded that he cannot fathom what Star Wars actually is. To him, Star Wars is Luke, Han, and Leia, period. Only. That's it. There is nothing else. You know, like, the only Star Wars heroes I've ever cared about died. I'm like, you know what? I wish they had died in the first 5 minutes of the last movie they made, of The Force Awakens, just to piss you off. Because fuck you. Because I pointed out, like, there's, you know, fucking Star Wars characters die all the time. You know? And they talk about, well, it's not Star Wars without these characters. I'm like, dude, they're archetypes. You know, I mean, you literally have the characters there. Because, I'm sorry, Rey was Luke. Rey was what happens when you mix Leia's gender with Luke's powers and backstory and Han's personality. Just flat out. Finn had Luke's naivete and Han's background as a former Imperial. And Poe was basically Luke's piloting skills. So. But I mean, I pointed out all these other characters who've died in the books in both the original and new canon, you know. I'm just curious here. I've been told these will melt. And I want to see. Apparently not. Okay. But I'm so sick of the movie casuals, because that's the thing. There is so much Star Wars to consume that even if they don't make Star Wars movies for 20 years that I actually like, it doesn't change shit for me. Because people don't realize that there was Star Wars long before the prequels came out. And I don't mean like, oh, the original movie. No, I mean new Star Wars. Shit. Well, crap. I'm going to have to go into creative later and fix that, aren't I? But yeah, that was the gist of it, really. I'm just so sick of these people. I'm so sick of the smarmy attitude. And I actually went off on some channel not even an hour ago. It had some girl, some fucking vapid valley girl, from the looks of her. And she was doing a thing on dirty jokes that Teen Titans had. I'm thinking, oh, I want to see this 6 dirty jokes that Teen Titans had. And I was excited. I wanted to, you know, I was all set to laugh and have fun with it. And she basically opened up with, yeah, we can all agree. It's a universal fact, basically, that Teen Titans Go sucked. But before that, there was the good Teen Titans kind of thing. And I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm fucking done with you people. I'm fucking done with people who speak for other people. I don't like it. I fucking hate it. It is the thing, more than anything else, that will enrage the living shit out of me. Is when people just assume one thing. I mean, that's the thing that will get me in a nasty, mean-spirited argument with you. Is when you basically say, well, I think we can all agree this. Because I've had people do that with Star Trek, like, well, I think we can all agree that Wrath of Khan was the best. No, I'm sorry, I didn't like Wrath of Khan. Well, we can all agree that Empire Strikes Back was objectively the best movie. No, it fucking wasn't. I would probably put it as my 5th or 6th movie. Jesus Christ, when did you get up here? Asshole. So yeah, I wouldn't put it as like the best movie. Matter of fact, as I understand it, when that movie came out, people fucking hated it because it basically destroyed the franchise. Probably thinking, Kyrix, that movie was awesome. Everyone loves it. Everyone loves it now. But let's pretend for a minute that Return of the Jedi never happened. Okay? Let's pretend that we don't know there's going to be an Episode 6. The idea of an Episode 6 is the furthest thing from our minds. Yeah? Think about how Episode 5 ended, will you? The rebels, the good guys, you know, the people we're supposed to cheer for. I know cheering for the Empire these days is pretty much in vogue, but back then you kind of rooted for the good guys. But yeah, the good guys, the rebels, got their asses kicked. They were scattered to the winds. The only base they had left was gone. And they didn't have another base. They had a fucking rendezvous point in space. So, that's the thing. And, yeah, they lost a lot of people on Hoth. A lot of good pilots. A lot of good soldiers. All dead. That's step 1. Step 2, Han, one of our 3 heroes, frozen in carbonite, sent off to Jabba the Hutt. At this point, we didn't know who Jabba was. We knew he was some big badass gangster, but we had no idea what he was, what he looked like. I mean, nowadays we know Jabba the Hutt's a Hutt, but we didn't know what the fuck a Hutt was back then. Because, remember, Special Edition is what put Jabba back in the film. I mean, we didn't officially see that shit till Return of the Jedi. So Han's frozen in carbonite. What the fuck are we gonna do? One of our heroes is gone. I mean, yeah, we got this new guy, Lando, but Lando's not Han. Han's gone. And Luke, Jesus Christ, Luke got his hand cut off. I mean, granted, at the end of the movie, and I think it was kind of a mistake, at the end of the movie, we see him fine with his new bionic hand, you know, and they're just kind of sitting there aboard that Nebulon B frigate, a medical frigate, just watching the Falcon leave with Chewie and Lando. I think it would have been better to not show that in the movie, so that could be something you could find out about Return of the Jedi. But yeah, everything that could go wrong went wrong in that movie. And you had to wait until Return of the Jedi came along to fix that shit. And it did. It fixed it quite well. And so all the people bitching about The Last Jedi, Empire did the same fucking thing. And for a while, it was the worst movie. And it has gone on to become the big movie. The one that, well, it's obviously the best movie. I don't necessarily think that The Last Jedi is going to reach that fucking status. But I guarantee it's going to be looked a lot fonder upon. Well, I don't guarantee it, but I can almost guarantee that it'll probably be received a lot better in the future once we have the whole of the trilogy to look at. But basically, the woman went off on this, and I just decided, no, I'm sick of this shit. I'm just going to tear into her for no goddamn reason. And I did. And I was fucking mean about it, because I'm sick of this smarmy attitude. And it basically ended with me saying that, for one thing, she wasted a good joke opportunity. There was a thing about, the first thing was about the Puppet King, where the joke being that Beast Boy, or Robin was looking at the puppets of the Teen Titans, like, wow, they got every detail of us right, and Beast Boy looks down the pants of it, like, speak for yourself, you know, implying, hey, he made my dick the wrong size if he put it there at all. And she's like, oh, come on, you can't make their dicks the right size? And I'm thinking, bitch, you wasted a prime opportunity to make a joke about how this guy works with wood and fuck that up. You know, wood, the slang for penis, or in this case, erection. And it was followed up by another thing where it was, they thought Robin might have been Red X again, because he was when it first appeared. And so they were going to have Cyborg do a cavity search, and I'm like, you just followed the whole Puppet King thing. You had a prime opportunity to turn this into a callback to that, saying that Cyborg was about to turn him into a puppet again. You know, the sock puppet ventriloquist style thing. And she didn't even have jokes for the ends of the other, I want to say, 4 things. Or no, I think it was 10. Either way, the rest of the things didn't even have a closer joke. You're supposed to, that's how these things go. You tell a little bit of a story and you have a closer joke to wrap it up, and she didn't have any fucking jokes to wrap it up with. And I basically, the thing I ended it on was saying, you know, you complain about how Teen Titans Go dumbed down Teen Titans for you, except you went and did the same fucking thing. You know, you dumbed down below the level of Teen Titans Go. And here's the thing. I don't particularly care for Teen Titans Go. I don't hate it, but I was never invested enough to watch it regularly. But what I did see amused me. I thought it was fun. And I pointed out that people are pissed for no fucking reason. They're pissed, oh, this new Teen Titans isn't my Teen Titans. Well, you know what? I grew up in the 1980s. There was this show, you may have heard about it, called Transformers. And, you know, halfway through the show, when the movie came out, they killed everybody. Pretty much every character you grew up with, every character you had the toys of, died. A lot of them rather graphically. And this is also that Hasbro could market new toys. And when they marketed those toys, they weren't very popular because you killed Optimus Goddamn Prime. And it got so bad that they had to bring him back to save the series. Well, 10, maybe 15 years later, I don't know, I'm not good with years, but they came out with this new Transformers show called Beast Wars. And Beast Wars was in no way, shape, or form the Transformers I grew up with. It's completely different. It's nothing like it. And of course, later we found out, I mean, we had hints, but we found out for realsies later on that it was in fact tied in with the greater Transformers continuity. But it wasn't Transformers. But it went on to become a fantastic and very well-loved show. It's pretty far up there as far as people's favorite Transformers shows go. Oreo, that's not stable. You don't want to lay on that baby. There was a show called Batman the Animated Series. You may have heard about it. It basically created the DC animated universe that ran for well over a decade. Batman the Animated Series is very much the reason that people love Batman so goddamn much. And, you'd be pretty hard-pressed to find people who genuinely have shitty things to say about it. I could nitpick, but even I like the show. You know, Batman the Animated Series, good show. And there have been numerous Batman shows over the years. Some of them more popular, some less. There was a show called Batman the Brave and the Bold. Batman the Brave and the Bold would have a hard time being more different than Batman the Animated Series. It could try, but it would be an uphill battle to do so. Because it was about as different from that show as you could get. And still be Batman. It was very lighthearted and goofy and funny, and tended more towards the 50s and 60s Batman aesthetic, like Catwoman, rather than being in this skin-tight gray or even the black or the purple suit. Not the purple, but it had the fucking exaggerated Catwoman thing. Joker looked like the fucking pre-movie Joker back in the old... Like the one who was on Scooby-Doo in the old Adam West Batman. That's the one I was looking for, Adam West. You know? And it basically had Batman teaming up with heroes that, for the most part, were very obscure. It took us like 3 or 4 seasons to get hints of big names like Superman and Wonder Woman. You know? But, you know what? Batman, the Brave and the Bold was a good fucking show. And all you have to do is watch it. And here's the thing. I've heard from people who actually took the time to watch Teen Titans Go that it's a pretty fucked up show. And I don't mean fucked up like Like, weird. No, I mean, it's a pretty dark goddamn show from what I understand. It's a lot darker in many ways than the show that came before it, the show that set it up. And it's very self-aware, and it pokes fun at itself all the time. And from what I understand, if people were to actually watch the damn thing, they would probably like it. But it looks kiddie, and it's marketed towards children, and more importantly, it's committed the mortal sin of not being the next season of the show they wanted so goddamn bad. You know? And I'm sorry, but fuck you. You don't get what you want forever. People know. I watch the new My Little Pony. I watch Friendship is Magic, Generation 4. We have, for several seasons now, been told that it's coming to an end, that they've already started designs and shit for Generation 5. We have leaks of Generation 5, what it's going to look like. And I've avoided those because, quite frankly, out of sight, out of mind, you know. But they are real things. We've been told that Season 8 was the last, and we've been told Season 9 is the last. I've heard Season 10 could happen. But it's entirely possible that next year, in 2019, we'll see the end of Friendship is Magic as a show. And the show that replaces it is going to have an uphill struggle. It just fucking is. Even if it's twice as good as this, there are going to be fans who, for no other reason than obstinance, are going to hate it. And they're going to hate it for a while. And it's going to fight hard to win them over. Because I've seen this shit with the Clone Wars. I've seen it with Beast Wars. I've seen it with Beast Machines. When that show came out, it was considered garbage. And it's not the best show, but a lot of people look on it a whole lot more fondly than when it came out. That happened with the Star Wars prequels. They were, you know, a fucking sin against Star Wars until the Disney movies came out, and now everyone's like, oh, the prequels weren't that bad. I actually kind of liked them, you know? No, fuck you guys. Wishy-washy pieces of shit. But yeah, eventually it's gonna fucking come to an end. And that's sad, but you can't have it forever, you know? And even the shit you do get forever you don't want. The Simpsons. Everyone's been saying for years that Simpsons have gone down in quality. I haven't seen it. I haven't watched The Simpsons regularly for a long time, but whenever I do catch an episode, it's still as good as it ever was. Same goes for South Park. You keep hearing South Park is shit. I watch it. It's different, but it's not bad. You know? Fucking The Simpsons is almost as old as I am. I think I've got like 3 years on that damn show. You know, it's probably the longest running cartoon ever. And people fucking hate that because it's so long. Like, it should just end. Well, no, fuck you. If it's still got stories to tell, let them tell it. Because the people who say The Simpsons should end are the same people who think that Teen Titans never should have ended. You know? The people who wish that Young Justice had just gotten that 3rd season, which it did. You know, the people who wanted the Green Lantern series to get its 2nd season. And I'm a lot of these people, too. You know, I wouldn't have minded more of Teen Titans. I wouldn't have minded more Young Justice. I wouldn't have minded, you know, more Green Lantern. I loved all those shows. I could have stood to see Justice League go on for another 5 seasons. You know? Enterprise should have gotten the same 7 seasons that its brothers and sister had. You know? But it didn't. Things end. It's just a fact of life. And sometimes, when something really good, really amazing ends, something similar fills its place. So that the fans can get a little bit more of what they had. You know? Like when the original Spider-Man trilogy ended. They decided, no, fans like Spider-Man, let's give them Amazing Spider-Man. And that ended, and they're like, oh, let's try this new Marvel continuity Spider-Man. And yes, it was a cash grab, but everything's a fucking cash grab. Don't fucking kid yourself. Don't pretend that things were better when you were younger. Shit, especially if you're younger than me, you can't pretend that shit. I love Transformers, but don't ever, for a second, kid yourself that that was anything more than a vehicle to sell toys. That's all it was ever meant to be. The fact that it became something more is not a given, it's a fucking gift. You know? Transformers could have just been some fucking schlock half-hour toy commercial. But it turns out it wasn't. And that's fucking awesome. And you know what? I don't like all the Transformers that came after it. I don't like Energon and Cybertron. And I never much cared for the premise of animated from what I've heard. But you know what? If not for Energon and Cybertron, there probably wouldn't ever have been the impetus to make animated. And if not for animated, they wouldn't have worked their way up to Prime. And I fucking loved Prime. Okay? Here's the thing. I've said this about Star Trek. Star Trek has this new, I think it's called the Kelvin universe, that's based off the new movies. I don't know the specifics of that, why it's called that. I know almost nothing except shit I've caught in conversation. But, you know, it's an alternate retelling of the Kirk timeline. And I've said, I don't like Kirk. I don't hate him, but I don't like him or his crew that much. I'm not invested in them. I wasn't invested in William Shatner and George Takei and Leonard Nimoy's crew. So I'm damn sure not invested in the Chris Pine crew. But you know what? If you are, good. I hope they make a dozen movies for you. You know why? Because as long as they're making Star Trek, they're making Star Trek. That's the shit you need to get through your fucking head. It doesn't matter if you like this Star Trek, because it's not going to be here forever. But they're still making it. So you know what? Maybe, just maybe, the next Star Trek, the one that comes after Discovery, is the one you're going to like. And if you doubt that, I've seen things online on Facebook that basically says they're making another Picard Star Trek. I know very few of the specifics, like I don't know if it's the original timeline, the new timeline, if it's a retelling of the Next Generation as a reboot, if it's about an alternate reality, if they're on the Enterprise E, how much of the old crew is coming back, if any of the old crew are coming back. But you know what? The Star Trek fans, the ones who bitched about Discovery, they're real fucking excited about it. And you know what? That's great. And you know what else? If you hadn't bitched so damn much about Discovery, if you hadn't tried to boycott it, if you hadn't raised so much fucking hell negatively, you might have gotten it sooner. Because here's the thing. You don't have to protest shit. You can basically write in and say, hey, I've been a fan since this era. I think this is something you should pay attention to. I think you should have a little more respect for the continuity. If you changed this, or if you did this, you know, this particular change isn't working well with the fans. You know, we want to work with you. We want to meet you halfway. We want to make with you a Star Trek that we can all be proud of. But no, you gotta fucking bitch. Stop bitching. Please. You are the damage. You are doing more harm than good. You know? I talked earlier about hoping they make a bunch of shitty Star Wars movies, intentionally shitty Star Wars movies, just to get rid of the movie casuals. I see that as chemotherapy to get rid of the cancer that they have become. And it's not just them, it really is the Star Wars fan base. And I had an argument with my friend about that I mentioned. She was going off about the misogyny and the racism. I'm like, it was never about misogyny or racism. It's about the fact that Star Wars fans have always been, and probably will always be, entitled little shits. Every last one of them. They are toxic, entitled children. And they always have been. For as long as I've been in the fucking fandom, they have been. And the only difference is, you're just now noticing because, A, social media is a thing. You used to have to go out of your way to find these people. Now, they turn up on Twitter all the time, you know? And B, now they're doing it to something you care about. You know, the same people who are bitching about how everyone hates the new Star Wars, like, oh, they're not giving The Last Jedi a chance. These are the same people who used to shit on the prequels. All the people crying about they made a no-women cut of The Force Awakens. Yeah, these are the same people like, oh, it's so great, they made a no Jar Jar cut of The Phantom Menace. Bitch, they've been doing this for years. You just notice now because they're doing it to shit you like. I'm like, bitch, get in line. You gotta get behind me if you want to complain, because I'm still waiting to have my issues heard. I just want to see some fucking space wizards with laser swords. That's all I've ever wanted. I don't care about your political crap. I don't care about your agenda. I want to see space wizards slinging laser swords around. That's it. I want a goddamn space opera. If you tell a halfway fun story and give me space wizards with laser swords, I'll watch your movie. Because that's what I'm here for. You know? I've been cracking the joke for a couple weeks that I don't care who runs for governor of Florida. They make orange juice $3 a gallon. They got my vote. I'll fucking give Rick Scott another turn. I hate Rick Scott. He makes orange juice $3 a gallon. I will fucking hold out posters for him. I will campaign for his ass. Vote Rick Scott, $3 a gallon for orange juice. Milk's fucking $2.75 a gallon. Florida's not known for its dairy fields. It's known for its fucking orange groves. What the shit, man? Why are we paying twice for orange juice what we are for milk? Anyway, I gotta go. Bye-bye, everybody. I didn't even get through all my movies. It'll be 2 hours if I do that. Bye-bye.